spirit, poor in connectivity. There are just people that are just lacking all around us, and it's not our job to compensate for them or to overcompensate for them. It's our job to recognize who they are,
yes,
and govern ourselves accordingly.
yes,
Don't let somebody stupid pull you into stupidity. Don't let somebody ignorant pull you into ignorance.
yes,
Don't let somebody that's low-minded pull you down from where you are to their level. Don't do that. It's all about staying where you're at. Listen, how long did it take you to get where you are? Well, I don't care how old you are. It took your entire life for you to get to where you are. Somebody can cause all of that to go to zero in just a heartbeat if you let it.
right.
If you let them. They don't have that kind of power. And they don't deserve that kind of attention.
Yes,
There are people that are bad. And there are people that need help. And sometimes you might have to help them. But not all the time. Amen?
amen,
Amen.
Amen. First of all, I'm grateful that you guys were able to make it over the border. Caleb, you're making me hot. Are you cold? Put your jacket on. You good? All right. I'm thanking God for each and every one of you. I'm glad for so many of the testimonies. I'm glad for everybody's testimony. I think everybody testified. That lifts a burden on me because it kind of prepares the atmosphere, prepares the room, and prepares our hearts to overcome. All of us have challenges that we have to overcome. And overcoming isn't something that just happens. Overcoming is a process that we are a part of, that in some respects we have to allow, in some respects we have to participate in. With God, all things are possible, but if you don't participate with God in the plan of God, then we won't benefit from who He is,
amen,
and we won't benefit from His presence. Amen?
amen,
Amen.
The Word of God says, I can do all things through Christ. Not with Christ, but through Christ. That means if I'm going to get to the solution, if I'm going to get to the finish line, I have to go through Christ.
yes,
And that's an active word. That's a kinetic word. That's me doing things, not waiting on the Lord to deliver me, but me taking steps through Christ to get to the other side of my problem. Jesus said in this life, you're going to have problems. This life, you're going to have tribulation. You're going to have trouble. There's going to be danger in your world.
yes,
Don't be afraid. Matter of fact, Jesus said, be of good cheer. Wait. What's wrong with Jesus? I got trouble all around me and I'm supposed to be happy about that?
yeah,
Well, be of good cheer because you're not looking at the danger. You're looking at me. You ever been at home and you wish your kids or your husband or your wife or your friend or somebody that was there with you, and then they came through the door
yeah,
and you just put on a Kool-Aid smile because you just knew, I was waiting on you. I couldn't wait for you to get here. Jesus said, be of good cheer because I'm here. Because I'm with you. And although you know in your heart of hearts that Jesus is always with you, that is to say the presence of the Lord. Let me get didactic and surgical with it. The presence of God is omnipresent. God is omnipresent. God is always here. We don't have to ask God to come. God is already here. But can we always see God? No, we can't. We cannot. Sometimes we are distracted by the here, and we're distracted by the now, and we are distracted from the everlasting
yes,
and the ever-present.
yes,
We're distracted by the here, we're distracted by the now, we're distracted by the temporal, and we're distracted from the everlasting God, the beginning and the end.
yes,
Huh? I love the presence of the Lord. The presence of the Lord, in the presence of the Lord is the fullness of joy. So if God is omnipresent, present, that means I should always have joy. But I don't.
Yes.
Right.
Why don't I always have joy? Because I can't always see joy. I can't always see the Lord. It's not like He's not here. I can't always see Him. I can't always feel Him. I can't always taste and see that the Lord is good. It's a gentle reminder. It's a sample. He's ever present. But if you can focus on He that's here all the time, then the temporal stuff won't bother you as much. Not only will it not bother you as much, but it will, in its temporal nature, you sing it for what it is, it won't bother you. It won't compromise your joy. Your joy can be full in this life. You don't have to wait until you die. You don't have to wait until you go to heaven. You don't have to wait until you are no longer here. I can't wait to get up out of here. You can have joy right here. I don't like this neighborhood. I don't like my neighbors. You can have joy right here. I can't wait till we move. I can't wait till I get a new job. I can't wait till I get a new car. You can have joy right here with this job, with this car. You can have joy wherever you are. I've discovered the following, and I want you to pay close attention. Are you listening?
Yes.
You might have to write this down. Get a pen and paper. You might have to type it into your, what do you call it, Kimberly? Your digital.
Notebook.
This is so simple. It's so simple. But just a little godliness.
It's a great game.
Godliness with contentment.
Yes.
The Bible says is great gain. How much godliness? Not much. You don't need much godliness. You just need a mustard seed. Scratch that. Grain of a mustard seed. With that much godliness, with that much faith, you can say unto a mountain, be thou removed. You're surrounded by stuff, but you're not surrounded by mountains. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Now, godliness is something that He does. He's just Him. He's God.
Yes.
All He has to do is be. Tell God. Tell it. Say God.
God.
Don't ever change. He never will. But when you can appreciate Him for being Him, you're halfway there. Godliness with contentment. That's something that you do. It's not something that God does, it's something you do. God is God, that's something that He does. Contentment is something that you do. You have to allow yourself to look at all of the problems, all of the things you have issues with, all of the shortcomings, all of the things you don't like, and say, you know what, that's all right. That's okay. Because I have godliness. I may not have the car I want to drive, but guess what? Even if I did, it's going to break down at some point. Because that's what cars do.
Right.
A car will let you down. What if it's brand new? It might take a couple years, but it's going to let you
Down.
That's what mechanical things do. I mean, have not had a house that I want, huh? Any house, I don't care if you build it from the ground up, it's going to have a plumbing problem. It's going to have a water problem. It's going to have some kids from down the street was throwing a baseball and they broke your window. All houses are going to have problems. You paid your mortgage on time, but the tax man's knocking on the door. Excuse me, you forgot to drop something in the mail. Houses come with problems. No matter what you own, no matter what you possess, no matter what you put your hand on, there's going to be a problem. Never with God. In God, with God, there's never a problem. There's no failure in Him. There's no remediation. There's no reconciliation. All that's in God is yea, which is yes, and amen. Not only that, Proverbs 10. Anthony, you got it? I got to hurry. I'm hurrying right now.
And
10 and 22.
the blessings of the Lord, it maketh rich, and addeth no sorrow with it.
The blessing. Is it blessings or blessing?
Blessing,
Singular?
singular.
Because, you know, that's all God does.
It continues.
Come on. Just. The blessing of the Lord makes rich. The blessing of Michael puts a dent in your pocketbook.
I have a little sorrow.
Huh? You might lay awake wondering how you're going to manage and maintain. And, huh? The blessing of the Lord adds no sorrow. I said something for the first time yesterday. I've never said it before. Lord gave it to me to say, talk to the group. God will give you more than you can ever earn.
Amen.
That blew me away. God will give you more than you could ever purchase. It blew me away, but the weight and the truth of it, the blessings of the Lord maketh rich. It is not your tie. It is not your shoes. It is not the car you drive that makes you look rich. It is the blessing of the Lord, and you don't have to pay for it. Oh my God. I'm going somewhere with this. I want to talk to you about neutrinos. It's not a new form of cereal. Actually, it's not even neutrinos. Neutrinos is like the introduction to what I want to talk about. What I want to talk to you about is dark energy. Actually, that's part and parcel of what I really want to talk to you about. What I really want to talk to you about is dark matter. You guys know what dark matter is? You do? What is it?
Well, I was reading an article in class and it was like dark matters are usually found after a black hole is destroyed or something like that.
Something like that.
Very good.
Something like that. See, there is in Switzerland a scientific compound called CERN, C-E-R-N. And what they do there, what they built was the largest particle accelerator on the planet. And what they do is they take an atom and they send them going that way. And they take another and they send it going that way. And they accelerate until they collide. Pow. And when atoms collide, there's energy exploded. The particles, the parts of the atom just go in different places. And they observe what happens when these two particles collide. And you got protons going away and electrons going, and then they start seeing other stuff that have neither a positive nor a negative spin. And they used to call them neutrons, but they weren't really neutral. They had energy of themselves, so they began to call them neutrinos because they saw them for the first time, and they weren't positive or negative. They weren't protons or electrons or protons. They gave the name neutrinos because they saw them for the first time. No one had ever seen them before. So whenever you have to see something, never seen anything before, you got to give it a name, right?
Yes.
Only if I had more time. I'd take you back to the garden, but I just don't have more time. But let me stay with the neutrinos. So, while they're examining the neutrinos, right? Because they seen the protons, that's old news. Everybody knows protons. They see the electrons, yeah, that's old news. Everybody got electrons. You know, they know about these neutrinos. They're moving in a way that doesn't necessarily carry them in straight trajectory. Some of them are going in curves. It's like, that doesn't make sense, because when you collide, the trajectory of what's hit should go on a straight line. But these things start moving in curves. And they start moving in things that make no sense to them. They're like, why are they moving in this particular direction, and it's not going straight like one would expect. They began to examine. They said the only reason why we can come up with the reason why they're going in a curve is there must be something else in there. Because in a vacuum, which is what we have, with no friction, it should go in a straight line. I mean, if like in pool, if you hit a pool cue up against the ball, it's going to go on a trajectory that's straight. But if that ball gets hit by the pool cue and it starts going in a circle or an arc, what's wrong with this table? There's nothing wrong with the table. There's nothing wrong with space. But what they began to discover, by virtue of the nature that these particles are moving in a manner which they don't expect, they began to ascertain that there must be something else in there with the neutrinos. Something that's acting on the neutrino that's causing it to move in a way that it shouldn't. There's another force. There's an energy not caused by the explosion, but there's an energy that causes the neutrino and the other particles to move in a way that causes them to move in a manner that isn't expected. There's another force, another energy that's acting on these things, and we can't see it. But it's got to be there. Because we can see the effect on the things that we can see. So because they can't see it, they called it dark. Not because of the color, but because it's invisible to any instrument that we have to calibrate or to sense it. We know that it's there because it acts on things that we can see, but we can't see it. I said to myself, that sounds a whole lot like God. It sounds a whole lot like faith. I'm going to get to that in a second. Furthermore, this energy that was acting upon the movement of these particles that they could see, once the particles were removed completely, they said, what we want to do is we want to get to a completely empty space. You know what they discovered? That space isn't empty. They remove all the particles. So now we got a space that's void. They weighed the void and it had weight. Nothing had substance. And what they ascertained, once again, they came to the conclusion that just because we can't see it, are you listening? Are you listening? Scientists have come to the conclusion just this past month that just because we can't see it doesn't mean it ain't there.
That's deep.
Huh? So we know there's dark energies out there. This other stuff that although we move all the particles, it still adds weight to nothing, to space. Space has weight, even when it's empty to us. There's something else present that's there. It's there because, guess why? Because, oh my goodness, I don't even know how to go to this other, I'm going to just mention this other point. Can I just mention this other point without going too deep? Because it's deep. It's deep. Can I go a little bit deeper?
Yes,
Can I go a little bit deeper? Are you guys with me? They were measuring the universe. Because in 1940 something or other, they came up with the Hubble telescope and that kind of opened their ability to see things in space. And what they figured out was two things. Number one, we've been looking at space all wrong. Because not only do we have a galaxy that we live in, there are 500 billion other galaxies. like ours, but they're just out there. For 500 million, I'm sorry, 500 million other galaxies. Well, we can see them, but we can't reach them. We just know that they're out there. Okay. And what we knew is that the galaxy is expanding. Because every time we can compare the position of where things were relative to us looking at them and where they are later is at a further. So the galaxy is moving and it's expanding. It's spreading out. But just this past 3 months or so, what they discovered, which has caused them to look a little bit deeper, is that it's not only expanding, but it's accelerating. If you take 3 cue balls and you roll them out on a pool table, eventually they're going to stop. Space is expanding quicker. It's not expanding at a constant, as if there were a big bang and things are just moving. They're accelerating, which is the opposite of what you would expect. You expect things in space to move at a constant. They're not moving at a constant. They're accelerating. They're going faster and faster. And the next time they're faster still. And then you calculate, okay, based on that speed, it's going to be right here. It's not right there. It's over here. It's accelerating. What in space is causing space and the things in space to accelerate? There's got to be this other energy that we can't see. We know that it's there because there's no explanation for things in space to accelerate. There's got to be an energy that's acting on the things in space that makes them go faster. Because they're not going faster in and of themselves. They don't have engines. They don't have, pilots. We're talking about stars and planets and things that we can see. But they're moving faster away from us. Oh, and by the way, they're not moving away from us. Because that would make us the center of the galaxy. We're moving too. And we're accelerating too. And there's stuff that's behind us that's accelerating. And it has been accelerating. And it always is moving in a rate of acceleration. We don't know why, scientists say. But what we do know is that there's an energy out there that is acting on everything that we can see. But we can't see it. And it's very, very powerful because it's moving and having an effect on everything. Everything. It has an effect on everything. But we can't see it. We've determined that everything that we said was space, and we discounted. We no longer discount. Because space isn't empty. Space is full of what we can't see. Scientists have come to this conclusion. We know that it's there because it has an effect. We thought it was gravity. But gravity would operate on different things at different levels depending on how close they were. But this dark energy is having the same effect on everything everywhere. But we just can't see it. We can only see the effect that it has on things. You know what that sounds like to me? Turn to the book of John.
See?
Nicodemus came to Jesus. He said, I've really been listening to you. Man, you teach it so good. I've never heard anybody teach like you. So I want to come to you privately, when nobody's around at night. because I didn't want to really get caught asking these questions. But let me ask you a question, since it's just us. How can a man be born again? I know, because you're so convincing, but I've been scratching my head. I can't figure out what you meant by what you said, born again. And I know it's literal because you've been talking and it's really, your speech was really, really good. I'm persuaded. I just don't know how it works. If I understood it a little bit more, a little bit better, if you explain to me, I want to be, truth of the matter is, I want to be born again. But I don't know how a man can enter into his mother's womb a second time. How's that work? 3 and 5, Jesus answered them and said to him, except a man be born of the water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I say unto you, you must be born again. And then he says, so masterfully, like only Jesus does. Watch this. He says, the wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. In other words, you know the wind is there because you can see the effect that it has on things.
Yes.
And that's in the natural. And you don't understand the wind. You're looking at the galaxies and you're trying to figure things out, but you're seeing particles being acted upon an energy or a power that you can't see. And you've drawn the conclusion all of these years, just because I can't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. Now we're talking about science. You understand that scientists have to prove things empirically? And scientists, we're talking about NASA. These articles are on NASA. You go to NASA.com. These articles I'm talking about, they're on NASA right now. They have concluded that we don't need to see it in order to concede that it's there. Because just enough that it has impact on stuff that we can see causes us to concede the existence. And we don't even know what to call it. We're calling it dark matter. We're calling it dark energy for lack of a better term. But we know that it's there. You know what else they conceded? They conceded that what we see is only 5% of what's out there. Are you listening? Science says we know about 5% of creation, of what we can see. All that we know so far, amasses, all of our knowledge is 5% of what's out there. And they said dark energy and dark matter is the other 95%. What you can't see, what you know is there, is 95%. And what you can see, and what you can prove is 5%. Isn't that something? It sounds to me like science has gotten to the place where they're coming into alignment now. Now, they won't intelligently say this. But the article that I read sounds like scientists are asking other scientists to have faith. I know you can't see it, but it's out there. Prove it. Well, we can't prove it, but all we can do is show you the effect that it has on the 5% that we can see. And there's no other reason for this 5%. There's no logical scientific reason for that neutrino to go on a curve. Something else has got to be out there. What is it? We don't know. But it's out there. We know for the first time that it is. It's got to be out there. Even though we can't see it, we can't measure it. We can't point it out to you, but we know that it's there, so we'll just call it dark. Because we're in the dark about what it is. Beloved, without faith, it is impossible to please the power that has always been out there that nobody can see. And we, believers, we call ourselves believers because we believe in what we can't see. We believe it because we see the effect in our lives of someone that we can't see, but that changes circumstances beyond our natural ability to predict. Beloved, God is. And he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And the him that he is, you cannot pursue unless you have faith. If a NASA scientist can have faith in a power that he doesn't understand, that he can't see, that he can't measure, he can't put his finger on, he can't calibrate, but he knows is there, because he sees the power moving. Mr. NASA scientist, I didn't have to discover what you just discovered, but I could have explained that to you. You didn't need a particle. I don't need a particle accelerator to tell you that God is. I don't need a particle accelerator to tell you that it takes faith to believe in God. Because otherwise you're gonna talk about circumstances, and you're going to talk about coincidences, and you're going to talk about a whole bunch of things that gives no credit to God, when all you need to do is to give credit to the presence that has already been. Oh, they said that they concluded that dark energy is what holds the universe in place. I'm going to go take a nap. I'll be back. They've concluded that dark energy, the energy they can't calibrate or touch or feel or know that it's there, but they just see the effects. That all of this time has been what? Not gravity, but what's been holding all of the planets and all of the stars in their place. And causing them to not only just sit there, but also to accelerate. Because if they were just sitting there, that would be one thing. But they're moving faster. Acceleration doesn't mean that they have velocity. Acceleration means they're speeding up. You call it dark energy, I call him Jehovah. He that is, was, and will always be. Welcome to the world of faith. Science has always dispelled faith. Science has always dispelled. Scientists categorically have always been non-believers in God. Because what science can't explain isn't there. Now scientists are saying, we were wrong. This just in. It is there. We just can't prove that it's there. All we can do is show you the effects that we can't see, has on other things that we can. Well, ain't that just like God? I should have got the job, but I did. Huh? I didn't have a resume, but they hired me. I should have been approved, but it went through. How? God, I pray. But here's the thing about God. You cannot blindly, and I understand that faith is blind. You know, they put Lady Liberty, justice is blind. God is not blind, and neither should you be. Faith is not blind. And just because we walk by faith and not by sight doesn't mean that we're blind. We walk by something that's significant. We walk by something that is just as tangible as our ability to be stimulated through our eye gate. And even more so, it's more reliable, it's more accurate. Faith is more accurate than your eyes. Some people are from Missouri. They don't believe it until they see it. Let me tell you something. Faith will give you a more accurate picture. I'll put it to you this way. If science is right, and what we really see is only 5% of what's really there, faith clues you into the other 95. So, let me ask you a question. Would you, my dears and sirs, rather make a decision based on 5%? Like you've been doing? Well, let me look at this. What are you doing? I'm examining. I want to look at it real good. Give me some time. What you doing? I'm studying. I'm looking at it. What you hold, what you are able to perceive is 5% of reality. 5% is nothing. We've been basing our lives and our decisions and these big, huge, life-changing decisions. We've been basing them based on what we see. Let me see. Who am I going to marry? Oh, she looks cute. I'm gonna marry somebody. I'm gonna date somebody based on what I see. Oh, she got cute eyes and cute. She look real good. Maybe I'll spend some time with her. Based on what I see, and then I make a decision. Well, she looked real good. She feels real good. She kisses real good. I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with her.
Hold up.
5%.
What you doing touching her?
God says, I want to give you something else.
Yes.
And he did. Unto every man has been given the measure of faith. God gives you faith to walk and to live. God gives you faith. You already have faith. But the faith that you have, he wants you to grow it like a muscle. He wants you to realize the significance of leaning on it and trusting in it and living by faith. And the whole concept goes over our heads. We're not used to it. We're just not accustomed. We see something, if it looks right, then we go right. If it looks wrong, we swipe left. Give me Hebrews chapter number 11. I know you know this. I know you've heard it. But allow me to show you what the Lord showed me recently. He opened my eyes. Listen, let me tell you this real quick. I was talking to my wife the other day. I was having a conversation with God. He allows me to do that. It's a conversation because it's not just me talking. He talks to me. I'll talk back to him. He says to me, forget everything that you know. What? Of course that makes no sense to me because I spent a long time getting to know the things that I know, and I'm not the dumbest guy. I'm not the dumbest knife in the drawer. And for one period of my life, I even had pride. I had to work past that, work through it. God had to get me over it. But I had pride. Anthony tell you. I had pride because I based my value on what I knew. So I was very, very prideful, arrogant, because I knew stuff. And I knew that I knew stuff. And I knew other people didn't know what I knew. And I walked like it. I talked like it. It was nasty. It wasn't my best me. It wasn't. The Lord had to deliver me from it. But he says, Michael, I need you to forget everything you know. And I've said, if I forget everything that I know, then what am I going to be worth? I mean, really. I mean, if I can't answer questions, if I can't, you know. God said, you're looking at the wrong things. You're looking at what you have. You're not looking at what you don't have yet that I'm going to give you. Kind of like this. If someone told you, I'm going to take you over to Anthony's store and I'm going to buy you a whole house full of furniture. What would you do with your current furniture?
Get rid of it.
Give it away.
Sell it.
It would be gone, wouldn't it?
Right. But the question is,
How long did you struggle to get that piece? How long did you struggle to buy that set? How long did you wait for a particular table to go on sale that fit your life and your lifestyle and your family? And now that you have it, you're going to get rid of it? Well, yeah. With a quickness. I mean, I'll just set it out and whoever wants it can come get it because I'm going to get brand new. Well, God told me I'm going to give you brand new. But you can't have it holding on to anything that you currently have. And I'm like, well, God, but you've given me so much, right? I'm arguing with God. You've given me so much. You've given me so much revelation. And I've been sharing and I've been prophetically conveying and my eyes are open to so much and I've seen so much. And God, I'm so far from where I used to be. And he says, do you have all of me? Well, no, nobody can have all of you. There's so much to... Wait. There's so much to you. That what I have isn't even a thimble full of knowledge of God. Now, don't get me wrong. Any bit of knowledge of God is valuable. But he told me that he wanted to give me more, but that he couldn't until I forgot, until I made room, until I emptied myself of everything that I know. And I said, okay. Now that represents sacrifice. It represents, for me, what's sacred. Knowledge is power, and what I know makes me a dangerous man. God says you don't know nothing compared to what I'm going to show you. I told God, since you put it that way, I have no allegiance, I have no attachments, I have no sacred tidbits that I'm willing to hold on to in order to forsake all that God has to give me that I don't have yet. I'm willing to lay down my base of comprehension so that I might know you more. So God begins to open some things up. And I begin to change. Not just from the renewing of my mind, but by my mind being a sponge again. God says, now open the word and look at this. Hebrews 11. There's two words that jump out at me that I'm going to present to you. What does it say? Now faith
is the substance
is
for
what?
the substance of...
Wait. Faith is substance. Faith is material. Faith is tangible. By virtue of it being a substance, you can lean on faith. And it's got tensile strength. You can stand on faith, and it has the ability to structurally hold your weight. When we're standing, when we're talking, when we're dealing, when we're conversing about faith, we're not talking about something invisible. Because invisible is too close to non-existent. Faith is something that is there, but we can't see with our eyes. Just like dark energy, just like dark matter, it's there. You can run into it, you just don't see it coming. Faith is substance. And faith only works because it's a substance, because it's material. It only works when it's connected to, read.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things.
Evidence of
things.
things. Faith only works as a substance when it's connected to a thing. Because faith is real, and it is more real than the thing that you're asking for by faith. I need a job. That's real. But faith is realer than the job that you know you need. Before you can ever need a job, you have to understand the value of faith. Faith is so important that without it, you can't please God. And if you can't please God, don't ask God.
Right.
Right? Because without faith, it's impossible to please God. Why would you ever ask God for something and you can't please Him before you ask?
Right.
Okay. So the material of faith has to be connected with something real. A thing. Which says to me that my faith, being material, can't set on something immaterial and I expect it. I can't ask the Easter Bunny for some chocolate and expect some chocolate. Because my faith is in something that isn't real. Now, what I want is real. I want some chocolate. But I'm putting faith in something that isn't real, so my faith won't work in something that's immaterial or something that isn't real. My faith will only work when I put it in something that is hard, material, solid, immutable. God. I can put my faith in this chair. Because that chair is a thing. And that chair is real. And if I put all my faith in the chair, then I can go right over and I can just sit right down without a caution or concern. I'm not worried at all. Because before I sat down, I had the faith that this chair and its material would hold me up. God said if you have that much faith in something natural that you can't see, why won't you have faith in me that you can't? Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I'm not there. More there than the chair. This chair won't always hold me up. This chair is going to get old and rickety and it's going to get rusty and I'm going to sit down and it's going to let me down. Ba-boom. What happened to the faith that I put in this chair? It let me down. God never fails, and although I can't see Him, in my time of trouble, I'm going to talk to Him as if I don't know that He's really God. If, because that's how we pray when we're desperate. You know, if it be Your will, and maybe if You're not too busy, and perhaps I've seen You do things for others. Listen, you have to talk to God like He is. You got to know Him. You got to know that He is and that He's a rewarder of them that diligently the same kind of diligence that you put your behind in that chair without a thought or concern. You didn't give it a second thought. When you pray to God, God's more faithful. He's more full of faith than that couch. But you put faith in the couch. We put faith in people. People let us down all the time. I mean, we got trust issues. We approach God like we got a trust issue with Him. God says, when you come to me, ask in faith. And just to James, it's so eloquent in the way that he puts it. James said, nothing wavering. Because if you waver, you can't expect. If you waver, you can't. He goes on to say, let not that man think that he shall receive anything. Why? Because he didn't have faith. He wasn't full of faith. He asked, like he's rolling the dice. I'm going to approach the throne. Some come 11. Let me pray again. It didn't fall right. Let me roll that one more time. Listen, you're going to the throne of God? How many times do you need to ask him? Maybe he didn't hear you the first time. Maybe he didn't have his coffee that morning. We're talking about God here. Faith is substance. It's a commodity you can build. You don't have to just use the faith. Listen, if you got a little faith and somebody else got a lot of faith, you can join your faith together.
Yes.
Come pray with me. That's why he says, if there any be 2 or 3 touching and agreeing on anything, doesn't matter. If you have faith, not even much. I'm talking about mustard seed, grain faith. It doesn't even require a lot of faith in God, but you got to have, baby, beloved, you've got to have it. You've got to have more faith in God than you have faith in anything. Seen or unseen. And don't go around trusting things that you can't see. Like Jesus told Nicodemus, listen. What do you say there? John 3. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Jesus said unto him, watch. Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Watch this. Jesus said, verily, verily, I say unto you, we speak that we do know and testify that which we have seen, like we're really doing something. If all you talk about is what you know, do you know how much you know? In the struggle of eternity, do you know how much you know? I'm not talking about graduating high school and college. Do you really know how? Listen, scientists have conceded that all they've ever seen is 5% of reality. Do you know how much you know? Do you know the infinitesimal speck of knowledge that you currently possess compared to God that you have free and liberal access to? Why would you make a decision based on anything in your head or your gut or your anything? Why would you do that? Verily, verily, I say to you, we speak what we do know and testify what we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. What do you mean? Jesus said, if I told you earthly things and you believe not, how should you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? You'd sooner have a faith in a chair or a car or something tangible. And God is more tangible than these. You just can't use your eyes to connect with that truth. God is bigger. God is better. God is truer than anything you've ever seen. Which is why He can do more than you can ask or think. Because He's bigger. He's greater. He's amazingly vast and then some. And He allows us to tap into Him by faith. Exercise your faith. Take that muscle and go walking with it. Get on the treadmill of life and exercise your faith. Intentionally. Start believing God for little things. Watch what He does. And we get so excited over little stuff, and God says, if you only knew. If you only knew. You thought that was difficult? That required, listen, the greatest things that you could ever imagine require no effort on God's part. He spoke. And all that is materialized. Because He spoke. Speak to me, Lord. Speak to me. Don't change stuff. Change me. Because if you change me, I can deal with stuff.